Hi, my name is Jagan, and I'm the author of the Ocellus Chronicles. And I want to welcome you to Before the Beginning, the podcast, the Ocellus Chronicles Genesis. Um, this is episode 3. So thank you for joining. And this is a look at a 40-year journey from, once again, a Halloween outfit to a 5-book series. Just a quick recap. Episode 2, I shared with you in the last episode how important names are to me, some insight on where some of the characters originated, and part of the journey of my embarrassment um, during that journey. And I ended speaking on being protective versus being shameful. So for this episode, I would like to pick up from there. But first, I realized that I have not done yet a brief intro to Ocellus, so I wanted to do that this time. If I were to describe Ocellus, once again, I think I've shared with you that I would call it, if Game of Thrones or the House of the Dragon meets the X-Men, what you would get would be the Ocellus series. Basically, that's because of the fact that the main characters featured in the series are royalty. So that's kind of where the theme of uh, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons gets tied into that scenario. And the regions, there are over 12 continents in the storyline, but the story features and focuses on basically seven regions primarily. Ocellus is a continent that has been split over time into two kingdoms, Western and Eastern. It is indeed a female dominated civilization because the women um, have the ability, or I should say, the power of the eyes to either inflict pain or manipulate the mind, aka power of suggestion with their eyes. Men on that continent live either topside with the women or underground in their male dominated society called the underground. So just a like a little brief um, intro to that world. But on a last note concerning the civilizations, uh, the there's such a thing as mixed species. Uh, the cultures are basically human. You have one type of race that lives, however, in the water and breathes water. You have another race of humans that have wings. They are not gods. They are not angelic or anything along that line. They're just humans that happen to have wings. And then you have what's considered your traditional humans who are designated as what they are often referred to as land dwellers. So that pretty much describes the people in, from the story. That's a little intro of Ocellus. But I want to pick back up where I left off from episode 1. Kind of talked about a theme of at least taking baby steps. Episode 2 was challenging you to um, protect and to determine the difference between protection versus fear. Uh, so I do want to speak again about the discernment element and the importance of the wisdom of knowing the difference between protection and versus fear. So I like to think of the stages for Ocellus initially, kind of like in hindsight. I believe it's wise to keep the story and dreams to myself. And in episode 2, I actually referred to Ocellus as my baby. Well, initially, if you have the conception, like being in the womb, you have your development stages, you have your initial uh, inception, creation, and then there's that time where uh, the, the the life is out of sight. No one knows about it, but it's developing, it's growing, um, and there's protection. But there's also no one can know about it, even though it's living and growing for months. Um, yeah, so I like to think of it that way. However, there does come a time to push out the project per se. You can't stay in the womb forever. It has to be introduced to the outside world. But even then, it's still in a condition where you nurture and protect it, guard it, because it's still new and young and fresh and not fully developed. So here's where issues happen. Uh, it's wrong to be pregnant past 9 months. I mean, you have to deliver. And so this isn't a baby. Ocellus is a project. So it's not that I was looking to try to get everything done in a 9 month, 1 year time frame. But there came a time, or there has come a time, where I have to say, well, I think it's wrong to still be pregnant and not deliver 10 years plus yet later. And so I am glad to say better late than never. So that's kind of where we are right now. Plus, I do believe in appointed times. I call it God's time. You may call it the universe, but sometimes things don't happen until they're supposed to. And so, what can you do? Just take care of your part. Just do your part. And could I have worked on publishing Ocellus in 2012 after I finished the first story? Sure. Do I think I missed it? I don't think I did. However, I do think I have to still deal with fear at times. It's a real tightrope of a walk. I mean, when you think about the fact that 12 years have gone by, I will say since 2012, I have continued to write, but now I'm trying to say, hey, it's time out for being afraid. Uh, I have to look at how much time has gone by, and I have to say, well, I'm definitely past the time of being impregnated with an ideal or a creation. I'm definitely past the time of the incubation of an ideal and development. I'm definitely ready to deliver. So I want to go to 2015. In 2015, I pulled together a celebration for my grandmother, who was about to turn 94. and my son, who was about to turn 26. They were born on the same day. And all of those years, those 26 years, we had never celebrated their birthdays together because of being so far apart. And so, with her getting up in age, I decided we better do this. So, I asked the family to come together, and we all gathered together in 2015 to have a little celebration for her birthday and his. And it was during this time in 2015 I had already finished 2 books. I was working on the third. No one in the family knew except for my children and my brother. I'll never forget, there was a moment where I was in the room with my grandmother, and she had, it was a joke amongst our family, selective hearing, selective singing. At 94, when you say, I can't hear, hey, what'd you say? You know, hey, maybe she can't. Maybe she didn't. Um, she often said that she couldn't see things, but we knew when she made a comment about somebody not having a nice, cute dress on, or that dress sure was tight in church, we knew she could see, selective seeing. So it was April 2015. My mom had already passed in 2012. Um, and I was, um, during the time of the celebration, I had decided to do a little bit of writing, and my grandmother was in the room. I had no idea she was paying any attention to me. Well, I want to say that um, a great opportunity came my way that I wasn't expecting. And thank goodness I didn't miss that opportunity by living in fear. My grandmother, she said to me, "What you doing?" And I said, working on a book. And she says, and then she said, well, read it to me. I said, oh, oh okay, yeah, Grandma, all right. Um, so I got past my fear and my inhibition to, yeah, all my issues, and I started reading the first paragraph of book 1 to my grandmother. And after I got through reading, she said, that's pretty good. Made my day. It really, truly made my day. And in that moment, my grandmother got to share, and I got to experience sharing with her something that I had been keeping a secret from everybody else, but basically my children and my brother. And she passed away a year later. She was blessed to be 95 years old. And I have the opportunity to say that she got to hear a portion of my story before she passed. And it's a memory that I'll cherish for forever. So this week, I know I do like assignments. I think I kind of would like to make this week's assignment be a cheerleader. When my mother was alive, she was one of my biggest cheerleaders for any and all of my projects. Um, she was very encouraging and supportive. And to be able to have my grandmother be there for me when my mother, I would have been more than happy to share it with my mom, but she was gone. And I was so glad to have, in that moment, a cheerleader. So even though I've been trying to get you to focus on looking at what you have or haven't done, and to maybe encourage you to do something that you maybe have been afraid to do, I'm going to ask you this week to plant the seed of being a cheerleader for somebody else, and encouragement for someone else, so that you can maybe make a difference for someone. And in the long run, it'll make a difference for you too. So risk it. You know, if I wanted to call this something, AKA taking the risk. Take the risk. Be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. Uh, in fact, failing is a great thing if you can do it faster, because as you make those mistakes, nothing wrong with it as long as you can figure out how to learn from them. So until next time, I'm going to try to talk about where's book 3? So this is Jagan with the Ocellus Chronicles Before the Beginning. Until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.